Cyber attacks hit everyone. Without a plan, it's like handing hackers the keys and a doggy bag for the road. This is Intellectual Point. We help people get high-paying jobs in tech. Incident response is your battle playbook. SOC analysts sound the alarm, incident responders swoop in to cage the beast, and CISOs keep the compliance gods happy. Take the Colonial Pipeline fiasco. May 2021, DarkSide ransomware locked up their systems, halting fuel across the East Coast. They'd prepped with training, ID'd the infection fast, contained it by shutting the pipeline, eradicated the malware, recovered using backups, and learned to ditch weak VPNs and add multi-factor authentication. Panic at the gas pumps? Sure, but no total meltdown. The hackers got schooled. Speaking of school, we're one of those. I'll hand things off to Stephen, an Intellectual Point instructor.
Now, planning and preparation, a lot of documents are created in this phase. So let's go over it step by step. This phase focuses on ensuring that the company is ready to handle any security incident that could occur. In the planning and preparation phase, we develop an incident response plan. Now, again, that outlines how the organization will respond to various security incidents. On a general level, it includes roles, responsibilities, processes, policies, how we handle it all as an overall thing. Next, we establish a clear incident response team. We have something called a CIRT, a C-I-R-T, a Cyber Incident Response Team. Their job is to respond specifically to incidents. So if something happens, they come in and they respond to that incident. They are trained. They have specific roles. They know the policies and procedures, and they practice responding to those incidents. That's what the incident response team does. You have an incident commander, a forensic analyst, a legal advisor. There are different roles in this team, and it varies per organization. We also define how internal and external communications will be handled during an incident. So, how are we communicating to different stakeholders in the company about what's going on? Is it public? Is it private? And so on. We also take an inventory and classify assets based on their critical or criticality. Okay? These are things like servers, databases, and so on. How are these going to affect business operations? All stuff that's outlined by the incident response plan. We also have a document that details step-by-step procedures for handling various types of incidents. This document is known as a playbook. Think about football. In football, there's a playbook, and there's different plays that they can play based on the situation. In cybersecurity, we have a similar setup. It's also called a playbook. And depending on what security incident we suspect is happening in our organization, we have a step-by-step guide on how to handle that particular incident. That's called a playbook. And in your incident response plan, it will outline that a playbook should be there. We also assess any vulnerabilities and potential threats that could impact the organization outside of what's going on. Okay, we also want to build relationships with law enforcement, incident response vendors, and third-party vendors to make sure they're prepared and they're a part of our incident response process. Okay, so there's a lot of things we do in the planning and preparation phase. The better you are at planning and preparation, the better your overall process will be. The rest of the steps will be very easy if you do the first step correctly. You have to make sure you have business continuity plans, COOP, and all of those different factors. Continuity of operations, disaster recovery plans, they all get built in planning. Then we move on to the identification phase. It's broken down into detection and analysis. We talked about this. Detection is going through and detecting which computers are sick. We need to identify which ones are sick. We can use malware, hashes, IP addresses. We need to collect IP addresses. We're looking for unusual outbound traffic, and we're looking for any suspicious files or changes to system configurations. We're looking for a whole range of things. Anything that could be an identifying potential indicator that there's a security incident going on. We have many monitoring tools that we've talked about, alert tools that we've talked about. These tools should be going off and saying, ding, 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 there's an incident going on. Afterwards, we'll analyze. We're going to investigate the detected event, kind of figure out where it came from, what's going on, what do we need to do, what's the appropriate action to take, and so on. Okay? Which systems are affected? What data has been compromised or accessed? What are we doing about it? How are we communicating it? How did the attack occur? All of this is documented for later use and lessons learned. Then, of course, we go to containment. Containment stops the spread. This is cutting off comms with the infected computers from any other computer. This happens immediately after an incident is detected and analyzed. Once the threat is confirmed, we contain. Containment can cause business continuity problems because you're disconnecting critical computers. But it stops the spread. By isolating a computer and it not being able to talk to any other computers, nothing else can happen. It cannot spread that virus or that malware that's on there, and it cannot receive any command and control functions from any other computer. A lot of times, malware receives commands from a remote source, a remote server somewhere that's sending commands to it. That's called a command and control malicious server. We want to cut those comms off. That's why we contain. We stop that computer from being able to talk to anybody. We limit access. People cannot access any sensitive systems or data during this time. We might have protocols in place to shut down access to sensitive data in our organization during an incident to ensure that we have successfully quarantined all of the infected computers. We want to preserve any evidence we can because we're going to want to recreate this situation at a later date so we can play back and see exactly what happened. That's called forensics. We want to minimize operational impact, so we should have been doing this in the planning phase. What would happen if this computer got attacked with a ransomware, or this computer got attacked with this, or this and this? That planning phase is important because your ability to minimize operational impact will be impacted by how well you planned for it. Containment typically lasts until the attacker's access is blocked and further compromise is prevented. The incident scope is fully understood and critical systems are secure. It's after eradication and recovery. Recovery process is where we put it back into the game. Methods of containment include disconnecting compromised systems from the network, from the internet, shutting down systems if necessary, blocking user accounts, segregating networks, using firewalls, IPS, whatever it is to block malicious traffic. Blacklisting can also be used for it, and temporarily disabling remote access. Always we can contain. We just got to shut those comms off. Then is eradication. We have to establish a safe environment. This is some place where the organization can confidently begin removing malicious artifacts and vulnerabilities without fearing further damage. We want full malware removal. Any malicious software should be removed. It's got to be identified and removed. Any rootkits should be moved, which means we need tools to scan for malware, rootkits, backdoors, and any other exploitations we can think of. We got to fix the vulnerabilities that exist that resulted in the exploit being carried out. So that's part of the recovery phase. Fix or patch or whatever it is that caused this to occur, we need to fix it before we can get it back into the game. We got to restore from backups if any data was lost. That's why we do backups, just in case data was lost. And then we do a complete forensic investigation where we collect all the digital evidence and we recreate this. That's evidence preservation. During that eradication phase, we're keeping logs of everything that happened, preserving that information. Then we go into recovery. This is where the organization works to restore and validate its systems and operations after an incident. It only happens after all threats have been removed, systems and data have been verified as clean and safe, and evidence has been preserved, and we have a complete timeline. We restore from backups, monitor the system, and restore it back to its original state, get it back into the network. Then we do lessons learned, where we do an after-action report. We will write a couple of different reports for different areas of improvement, say what happened, say how it happened, say what's been fixed, and so on. Okay, once we do that, we need to revise the incident response plan, update the playbook with anything that changed. We need to enhance any detection protocols to help us detect those attacks sooner. We should know sooner before it gets infected. We should define escalation procedures clearly to make sure everything gets escalated the correct way if it wasn't done the first time. We want to train, so we'll use tabletop exercises and simulations to train on that incident so we can respond to it better in the future. We'll also update any documentation, like playbooks or after-action reports or TTPs or anything that we need to discuss how we can do these things better in the future. Implement additional security controls as needed, and run exercises to train your IRT teams, your incident response teams. All right, all of this goes back to preparation. Wraps back around into the preparation. Update all your plans, update your response times, update your preparedness.
Learn incident response at Intellectual Point. We have live, instructor-led training and on-demand training for cybersecurity and AI courses. We will help you launch your career in IT. Thanks for watching, and I hope you like and subscribe.